Fast Forward Productions. The women are speaking.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Unfiltered Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Ashley Pollard, and today we are not necessarily talking about growing your email list 101 or posting on social media or any of those things, because we're actually going to talk about what I view is one of the most important skills to learn in entrepreneurship, which is the mastery of your mind. Being an entrepreneur is taxing. It's taxing on so many things. It's taxing on resources like your money and your time and skill sets, and even like physical product is taxing in labor, and in the physicalness of packing the boxes and storing and shipping and all of that stuff. But it's also very taxing on your emotions. Entrepreneurship is one of the best and hardest things because it triggers you and pokes you and scares you and brings up all of these fears that maybe you weren't exactly hoping to work through in business. To me, I welcome that. I really enjoy that psychological journey and that knowing of myself that comes with running a business. I'm one of those people who welcomes those breakthroughs, those breakdowns, those aha moments, those fears and those insecurities, because I really enjoy learning about myself in that way and like trying to always be the best version of myself. And I know that not everybody is in a place where those things can feel exciting to learn about. I'm one of those people that has been raised in a family where you go to therapy, and I'm very grateful for the fact that there's never been a taboo around it. And so therapy has just been something that I've been doing for years. And in working through therapy a lot, I was building resilience and I was learning about taking things personally. And I've been learning about showing up authentically and being myself. And keep in mind, I'm also 36. So that's so funny because I'm not 36. So for a second, I thought I was lying. But by the time this is out, I'm 36. So if you're 22 listening to this, like I got 14 years on you and like the best is yet to come. I guarantee it. But what I want to talk about today is like those mindset blocks that do come up, those feelings of imposter syndrome, those feelings of prioritization and what comes first, those feelings of comparisonitis, those feelings of fear and insecurity, and maybe even people talking badly about you. Like those mindset blocks are so real, and it's a very human experience that comes with entrepreneurship. And I do, on one hand, want to tell you that those experiences are valid and that I'm seeing you and that you are totally not alone in them. But I also want to do my best in giving you some ways to overcome them. And these aren't necessarily because I'm an expert, but more so these are things that help me when I am in some sort of a mindset rut. Now, if you've been in my space for a while, you may have joined Inward, Onward, Upward, which was our digital retreat one year. You may have been in the May retreat where we went to Austin as a group, or maybe you're coming to one of the retreats later this year or next year. This is the kind of stuff that we like to do there because I like these retreats to be focused on leadership. So if you've come to one of those events, I'm sorry you're hearing it twice, but this is the kind of stuff that I want us to be talking about in this episode, which is all about how to know yourself better and how to work through these really challenging situations. The first thing I want to kick off with is that I beg you, if you shut the episode off after this point, I'm fine, okay? But I beg you to learn how to give yourself grace. In giving yourself grace, you are saying to yourself, I am a flawed human running a business. You are not a business owner who happens to be a human. You are a human. And on top of being a human, you are a flawed human. And that's not because you, the listener, are flawed. It's because humans are. And we will continue to be. One of the best things I learned in therapy was that we are not in therapy to fix ourselves. We are in therapy to know ourselves and to accept the parts of us that we maybe feel like need to be changed. There's things about me that in therapy, I realized I'm no longer interested in changing that. It's just a flaw and it will live here. And that's fine. It's kind of like the squeaky floorboard in my dining room, which I could not say floorboard ever, but it's like the squeaky floorboard where it's like, of course I could sit there and be so annoyed that every time I walk over this floorboard, it creaks, but I actually think it adds so much charm to the house. And I love living in a 98-year-old house that has so much charm where the floorboards squeak. And I want you to kind of view yourself that way. And I want you to give yourself grace. In being a flawed human running a business, you are going to say the wrong thing. You're going to make the wrong call. You're going to do what you thought was right and it ended up being a mistake. You're going to do something reactive and emotional, and it's going to be something you regret. And that's because you're a flawed human running a business. I'm not going to sit here and say it's okay, because some of these things may hurt someone and you'll have to apologize and you'll have to fix that. But that is part of the journey of both being a human and especially being an entrepreneur. So more than anything, I want you to look at yourself in the mirror and say, no matter what, girl, I got your fucking back. Because that to me is one of the best wins that you can experience in life, but also in entrepreneurship. You can be the person who says, I know that we made the wrong call. I know it sucks. I know we have to figure it out, but you've got this. I'm proud of you, and let's keep going. Because what we have to remember is that when we don't have our backs, nobody does. And the reason I say that is because if you look in the mirror after a mistake and you say, you idiot, why did you do that? What is wrong with you? Why did you make that call? You know better. When am I going to learn my lesson? When am I going to figure it out? Your brain won't even hear someone on the outside telling you that you did a good job. You won't even hear it. So you have to be the person who looks in the mirror on a bad day and says, no matter what, girl, I got you. I got you. You're okay. I have your back. I myself have my own back, because that grace is resilience. Which leads me to my second point. You have to have resilience in your business. Again, coming back to you're going to make the wrong call. All of those things are going to happen. And also, I want you to keep going. I want you to keep going for the version of you who thought this business has a mission and I want to see it through. I want you to keep going for the person who says, I want to build generational wealth for my family, whatever it takes. Because whatever it takes is this moment where you need the resilience. I want you to keep going for the person who says, I want freedom in the future of my business, knowing that you're not in the future yet. And so with that level of resilience, there has to be a level of trust. There has to be a level of trust in yourself, trust in the mission, trust in the people that you have supporting you. And you also have to trust that you have the right systems there to support you. If you don't have those things, find them. Find a strong community, find a mentor, and all of this can be free. I'm not telling you to spend money. Find people who support you, find people who have your back that are outside of business and both inside of business, and lean on those people, rely on those people, say to those people sometimes, I'm having a hard time, I'm having a hard go of it, I'm having a rough day, I'm having a bad moment, because those people can really have your back and help you through those moments when you kind of can't do it yourself. With that, I want to talk a little bit about outsourcing, the mindset block that kind of comes around outsourcing and these feelings that may come up around, I'm the only one who experiences this and I'm alone in this and I can't figure this out. The reason that I enjoy outsourcing is because the second that I hired someone, and it took me a while to hire someone, I was one of those people that was like, you think I'm making this money and I'm spending $1 on someone else? Hell no. But so it took me a minute. Like, you are not alone if it's like hard to hire that first person. It took me a minute. And so when I made that first hire, the dynamic in my business changed so exponentially. It went from me being like having a good time and learning and seeing what I can do to, oh, I'm responsible for someone. I really have to think about the ways that this business is impacting her and the way that this business is impacting her pay and her responsibilities and her involvement. And now I want to nurture her and make sure that she's great and feeling supported and feeling involved. And so one of those things I want you to think about there is that outsourcing can have an incredible benefit to mindset while also kind of having a detriment. With outsourcing, I don't recommend that you do it from a place of fear. I don't recommend that you do it from a place of, I need this and I need it now, or especially someone told me to do this, so I'm going to. But when you hire knowing that you're making a strategic move and growing your business, what's going to happen there is you will see a dynamic shift. And with every single hire, we have such a big team across all 5 businesses now that with every hire, I feel even more of a responsibility to make sure that I'm serving and delivering on that promise of the business, so that I can make sure that they're taken care of, not just financially, but also that they feel emotionally and creatively and intellectually stimulated in the work that we're doing. And why I think that that's so helpful is because I also have a group of people I can rely on. Now that requires me to be a vulnerable mentor, and a vulnerable business owner, but I can lean on them and say things like, hey guys, like I'm having a moment where I feel nervous or I'm feeling ganged up on, or I'm feeling scared, or I'm feeling worried about whether or not this works, or shoot, we just made this massive investment and like we're scrapping it all of a sudden. I can share that with them so that I'm not alone. You're building a community that's also a part of the mission, which I think is super helpful. The other thing that I think you can think about if you're not in the stage to outsource, which you are not required to do, by the way, I think it helped me stay focused and stay present in the business, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're required to do it. The other thing that I think really helped in my business was understanding the prioritization level of everything I was handling. I am definitely the person that has a problem with knowing everything that has to be done and thinking everything is urgent. I'm the person who thinks, wait, we want to update the website in September, so I need to do it today. And my brain knows that's not the case. But when I trap all of those tasks in my brain, I feel like everything has to happen in this moment. And it's beyond overwhelming. And so immediately I had to make a system that allowed me to see all of the tasks that I have at hand and to properly organize those thoughts. So I do two things inside of my business that you're free to take. One of the things that I think is really important is that I have a task list inside of Airtable. And inside of Airtable, I'll say that I have to schedule these 8 guests. And that's not one task, that's 8. So I schedule this guest, schedule this guest, schedule this guest for the podcast. Maybe it's also that I have this idea of something that I want to add to the website this summer. Great, that's going on the task list. Maybe there's something that I owe to a client today that's going on the task list. And so what I'm kind of doing with this task list is I'm building out everything I'm trapping in my brain. It is my core goal at the end of the day that anything I'm trapping in my head gets out somewhere. Maybe I tell someone on the team for them to log. Maybe I'm logging it somewhere. Maybe I'm putting it in a notes app. Maybe I'm putting in my reminders app on my phone, which you should see my reminders app, the amount of reminders. Remind me on Tuesday to send that email. Remind me on Wednesday to reach out to that person. Remind me in 2 hours to do this thing. I love my reminders app. Highly recommend that you use it. My point here is that I have to get everything out of my head, and that's really important. So using Airtable and saying this is a marketing task and it's urgent, or this is a sales task and it needs to be done in 3 months. This is a podcast task and it needs to be done in a week. Setting deadlines, adding in the duration that these things will take is, oh my God, beyond helpful in order for me to kind of see like truly how much is on my plate and what is the actual importance of some of these things. Which leads me to the second thing I do, which is I run almost everything through the Eisenhower matrix. And if you want the Eisenhower matrix, I swear to God, so many people in the Doers Club will tell you it's one of the most life-changing ways to view your business. It's free and included in your free 7-day free trial of the Doers Library if you want to go check out the Doers Library and download the Eisenhower Matrix training. But what the Eisenhower Matrix basically does is it only lets you view 3 things as urgent. And the rest is maybe urgent and not important, or maybe it's not important and it's not urgent, or maybe it's important but it's not urgent. And there's different classifications for the different tasks. And what that helps me do every single day is only focus on the things that are absolutely detrimental to the day or to the week of my business. It's kind of what I talk about a lot with paper plates versus glass plates, knowing what's a paper plate and a glass plate. Because if I drop a glass plate, it shatters, people get hurt, we're stepping on broken glass, we have a mess to clean up. And it's going to set us back. Dropping a paper plate, we can just pick it right back up and we're good to go. And so this idea of paper plates and glass plates is kind of like a third way, I guess, of viewing prioritization of like, what happens if I don't do this thing? Like, what's the worst that happens? And not what's the worst that happens is like, I get fired. I more so mean like, what truly is going to happen here? And so that's why I like to use the Eisenhower matrix to kind of map out those paper and glass plates. And then I'll take those tasks now that I understand the urgency level of everything, plug it into Airtable with a duration so that I can kind of see how long some of my days may be if I do have to do it this week. Okay, I'm going to have a busy week, or okay, I have a pretty chill week. So I recommend kind of building a system around the prioritization level because I feel so debilitated sometimes knowing everything that has to be done I'm running multiple businesses. So I'm knowing all of the stuff that has to happen at Fast Forward and all the stuff that has to happen in Cocky Ventures and inside of Me Time and inside of Dial Zero and inside of Team AP Consulting and trapping all of that in my head. No fucking wonder I have insomnia, but trapping all of that in my head is very, very, very much a problem in my head. And getting out of that means writing everything down, putting some of the responsibility on the team, sharing all of the different timelines that we have, and really tracking what's important and what's not so that I can get through those things and I can keep going in my business. The next thing I highly recommend you do is create your own set of rules in your business. I created 10 rules in my business. I even named it The Rules. You can go download it on my website. It's called The Rules Playbook. It's $27. You can use the code The Rules and get $10 off, so you only pay $17. But the idea of this workbook is that it's going to walk you through all of the things you believe in your business, what scares you, what excites you, what's your prioritization level of certain things, who are you when this happens, how do you react to this when this happens. And what that workbook basically does is allows you to make rules for yourself. What are the rules that you're going to follow as a leader? What are the rules that you're going to not negotiate on? What are the rules that you're going to use as the backbone of your business? And I recommend that you create your own rules. The reason why I say that is because I love my rules. And if you want to take all my 10 rules, take all my 10 rules. Like, girl, we can share. I'm fine with that. But why I want you to create your own rules is because you have a guiding light. And one of my guiding lights is I win later. And the reason that I really love that is because in those moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, why isn't this working out? Or why do I not have what she has? Or why am I not able to figure this out like everybody else can? I can come back to that and say, I win later, and that a life is bigger than the luxuries. The luxury is the life that I have. The luxury is, taking the day to go spend time with my nephew, or taking a long afternoon where I can walk around the block and treat myself to lunch outside. So for me, it's like creating those own rules and understanding what are those non-negotiables in your business and what are those guiding lights that push you forward. Because sometimes I think a lot of the anxieties we have in business come back to the fact that we're kind of just all over the place, scattered. What does it look like to have your own internal commandments, your own internal set of rules and boundaries and limitations and excitements and your own set of yes and no that you have to kind of guide you forward in times that it might be really challenging? With that, one of the rules that I really love is that I created a life where my business lives in it, and I didn't create work with my life in it. Now, that's actually not true. Let me step back a second, because originally when I built my business, it was all work, no play. And then when I started to integrate life into my business, I started to realize I can't go to that thing. I have to work. I can't do that thing. I have to work. Well, I can't do that. I have to work. And it was then that I realized I had a problem, because I built this business for freedom. That's what I wanted. I wanted to have a big, big, big business with major impact, but I also wanted a level of freedom. I'm not the kind of person that wants the 2 days a week kind of work. I like to work. I like to be involved in my community. And I like to be involved in the work that I'm doing in a really big way. And so for me, I noticed that I was having to say no to a lot of things because I built a working life and I didn't know how to fit my life into it. And so I really had to break the model, and I lost a lot of money in doing this. Thank God I got it back, and you will too. But I really had to say, if I choose my life, I'm going to have to figure out a way to build work around it. So I moved to LA and I made my calendar first of all of the personal things that I want to do that month. I want to go to happy hour with my friend. I want to take a Wednesday off to have a nice lunch outside. I want to go to story time at the library on Thursday morning with my nephew. I want to do this. I want to do that. And so I started putting these things. I mean, that wasn't when I was in LA, but I started building this calendar of like my personal life and what I wanted to do. And then when am I doing my client calls? And then when am I scheduling all my content for the month or the week or whatever I'm doing? Then when am I recording podcasts? So when I started first with my life and then started building in my work, I really started to get the best of both worlds. That's why I have pretty chill Mondays and Fridays that I spend with the doers, because that Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I am nitty gritty in the work. And the reason for that is because I find that most people are. But for me, I like a long weekend. And if I can have a chill Friday and a chill Monday, that's ideal for me. And that is how I kind of like get to see the win in my business. Outside of also the fact I'm going to story time on Thursday morning, and I'm leaving work early to go babysit my nephew, and I'm taking the rest of the day off to go to happy hour with my girlfriends, or whatever it is that I put on the calendar for that month, that week. Therapy on Fridays. I go to therapy on Fridays. So it's like I have this life where I've built a life for myself, and I'm allowing work to play in it. And one of the things that I feel like comes up as a block is that we have to be working at all times. Or like, if I stop working for a second, then I'm going to miss out on something. And I'm so here to tell you that that's just not the case. And I am pro hustle, for the record. Okay. I love an ambitious girly. I love a hustle. I love like the focus and the drive and the ambition that I see in the people in the Team AP and doers space. And I'm not okay with using the word hustle to mean at all costs, at the cost of my mental health, at the cost of my relationship with my family, at the cost of my relationship with my friends. That's not hustle. That's like actual obsession. That's not what hustle means. And so for me, like, really undoing this idea that like, for me to be making money, I have to be active every single moment of the day. Like, I really had to unlearn that. And thank God I did. I'm in such a great place now where I know that that's not necessarily the case. So one of the things I want you to really think about, and one of the mindset blocks you might have to work through, is rebelling against the system. It's something that I actually force everyone in the roundtable to try to do. How can you rebel? How can you take a long lunch on a Wednesday? How can you take a Friday off? How can you start work on Tuesday at 1 p.m.? How can you go to a workout class at 11 a.m. if you want to? And the reason for that is because we're entrepreneurs. And if you're not rebelling against the system, it's going to feel like you have a 9 to 5. So for me, I also like to rebel against the system a little bit. I like to make sure that I have some spaciousness in my business so that I can feel that benefit. Because if I have to work on a Saturday because the business demands it, then I do. And where else can I play because of the sacrifices that I have to make as an entrepreneur? Now, these are all different things that I think really show up in our lives. But outside of that, there's also things like, how do we talk to ourselves? What do we believe it to be true about ourselves? What triggers us? What deep emotional connections do we have to past stories of ours that just isn't true? And those are things that we work through on our retreats. In our retreats, we have these physical handbooks where we are working through exercises solo in mini groups with one other person. And there's a lot of journaling. There's a lot of introspection. And the idea there is that a lot of your business can be fixed by going inward. And now, trust me, this retreat is not for me to act as a therapist. I am so not at all qualified. It's more so, what kind of mindset shifts have I seen with my clients? What kind of mindset shifts have I seen inside of the doers? And what kind of exercises do I know have worked for me in business, in corporate settings? And what have I learned that we can bring to these retreats so that you feel like a leader in your space, you feel in control in your mind, while also connecting with other people who also want to advance themselves. It can feel so lonely to feel like I'm the only one with imposter syndrome. Sure, they say they have imposter syndrome and not as bad as me. And then you actually sit in a room with people where everybody is discussing that together and you realize this is not a me problem and I can love myself through this because we're all experiencing it together. So that's why I like these retreats, and we're going to keep doing them. Don't you even fret. In these retreats, what we do is we put you in gorgeous accommodation, of course, nothing less than the best. And we also pay for all the meals. We have all of these incredible activities and planned exercises, but we also do a no phones rule. So from 10 to 3, no phones, fully focused, disconnect. You'll have time to read, you'll have time to draw, you'll have time to rest, whatever it is that you want to do, while also having some internal moments with yourself where you can really kind of learn how you show up as a leader. And to me, that is the best profit that you can find in your business, is a really great resilience within yourself, because when these problems happen, you can keep moving forward instead of someone else who may have to take all of this time off to take care of themselves emotionally, and they lose out on money. And I don't want that to happen for you, especially if you're building generational wealth, especially if you're supporting your family, especially if you want to make a massive impact. So this is what I wanted to share with you guys today. You don't have to come to the retreat. There's only 10 spots available anyway. We want them really small and really intimate. But if you can't make it, that's fine. If you want to be a part of it, that's fine. It's not that. It's more so that I want you to understand that your relationship with yourself is going to be one of the biggest determinants of whether or not you're successful. And don't overlook that. But above all, give yourself grace. Prioritize your time well. Give yourself time to grow and be patient with the process. Make your own rules for yourself, and make sure that you're creating a life outside of your business as well. Thanks for listening, and I will see you guys next time on the next episode of The Unfiltered Entrepreneur. Before we go, I'm inviting you on my mission to help female entrepreneurs, okay? I am a girl's girl, and I want to see every single one of you empowered, living your biggest and boldest life. And the easiest way for people to access free information and a community of like-minded women is by sharing this podcast. Leave a review on Apple, rate us on Spotify, but more than anything, if you liked this episode, please take a screenshot, share it to Instagram, and tag us so we know that you are loving the content, but also other people can see that you are an entrepreneur who is focused on her game. Now remember, the motto of the Team AP space is, it's not hard, it's new. And if nobody has told you this, I want you to remember, you've got this. Entrepreneurship is hard. I love you. I believe in you. And I am so grateful to be in service of you, whether free or paid. And until next time, stay focused, babes.